Welcome to another episode of the Fanzone podcast, your home for all things Bolton Wanderers, up the Trotters, the Northwest's #1 podcast.
Good evening. Welcome to another episode of the Fanzone podcast. A 3-point pod, no better, following Wanderers' emphatic 4-1 victory over the Conference Club down the road. Of course, tonight you're joined by myself, Ben, good evening. Dan, good evening to you. And of course, special guests, as you can see, top right and corner of your screen, I think. That's the way it's panned out. Although under the weather, I'm very much appreciative is here, Daryl Morris. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Evening.
How are we all feeling, everybody in the chat? I see the regulars are here, but one or two people that aren't here as often as others in the chat. Obviously, I can kind of guess as to the reasons why. Wonderful to have each and every one of you in the chat tonight. Please continue to get your comments in the chat, and I think Ben is managing that tonight, so he'll bring your comments to view.
Yeah. We've had this one from Paddy, who actually put this on at 25 minutes past 7, so he was very early to this evening's episode, which is a great display of commitment.
I like your style. The way I see that is people who listen and watch live on the televisions have probably got it in the background whilst they're doing something, waiting for us to go live. So that's the way I see that, rightly or wrongly. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, wonderful to have you all here with us tonight. Obviously, fantastic victory yesterday, and I'm sure we'll get into that in due course. Obviously, I'm hosting tonight, so a little bit rusty on the old buttons, so please do bear with me. But I reckon we get straight into it and get going with the post-match reactions. So I'm going to start with our guest, Daryl, mindful of the fact that you're not 100%, so I thought I'd give you the opportunity to get yours out of the way early. Give us your instant reaction following yesterday's 4-1 victory against Wigan.
Oh boy, what a monkey banished from our back that was, and what a way to do it. I mean, where to begin? I wasn't there actually. Because as you say, I've in a bit of a 2020 throwback. I've managed to test positive for COVID, so I go with my granddad, so I didn't want to give it him or anybody else really. So I stayed at home. But so I watched it on TV. But boy, the atmosphere, like even through the television, was amazing. And I think, we see so many that there's loads to discuss, isn't there? But I just want one of the sort of observations that my immediate observations was that we have so many of these occasions where the fans turn up and the players don't, or actually a couple of occasions where we play well, but the atmosphere's been a bit dead and a bit for whatever reason. And yesterday felt like everything came together. It was just the day that everything came together. The fans came together. We talked a lot about it clicking and all that kind of stuff, and it clicked. And we were clinical in a way that we've just not been clinical before, and we were defensively strong actually in a way that has become quite become a bit of a feature of our play. I think it was just the day it clicked, right? I think it was the day that everything came together. To a man, they were terrific, and where do we start in praising them? Where do we start in there's lots to say about number 10 and about our defensive structure and all that kind of stuff, and we'll get into it all, and Gale and Cozy Dewberry and how we're playing wingers and stuff, and we'll get into it, I guess. But just the sort of overwhelming feeling of that moment where a jigsaw just clicks together.
I think we all felt it was coming, didn't we? And we obviously said it a couple of times in recent weeks that we're going to give somebody a hiding sooner rather than later. I was in the fan zone before the game yesterday with Dan. Dan wasn't quite as confident as me and wasn't quite feeling the possibility of hammering somebody. Certainly not yesterday, I don't think, Dan. What's your take from yesterday's victory?
Well, I'm very happy to be proved wrong. It were brilliant. Like you say, 2 a man, 1 to 11, whatever squad numbers they are now. They were all absolutely fantastic. We were up for it. We played well. I was just buzzing to be a part of that, to be honest. It's been far too long that we've been getting turned over by these, especially at home. And it was pretty much a complete performance, I thought. Defensively, like you said, Daryl, we were absolutely rock solid at the back. We looked like we had invention, creativity, pace. I know Ryan Law said we didn't really cut them up, and tend to disagree with that a little bit, given how many times we got in. But yeah, we have been threatening that for a while, I think, in all honesty, and it's just good that it's all sort of culminated against Wigan. Hopefully now we can go on a run and start getting the goals that our play generally and the chance creation deserves. So yeah, buzzing.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, the way I kind of saw it was obviously the fact that we raced ahead was the perfect kind of concoction of exactly what you want in a kind of derby game. Finished our kind of chances at the first chance of asking, if you want to say that. And not only that, the way we managed the game after we went kind of 3-0 up was quite an impressive thing for me as well. Obviously, at the blocks early, scoring in the second half. And then I do genuinely feel that the conscious effort to ensure that we just kind of save legs really and just manage the game out properly and you know, tried to get them on the counter when the opportunities came up. But all in all, I think a very well managed game from Shuey. Happened to notice as well when they kind of went a little bit more attacking because they had to chase the game. He went, you know what, let's stick 2 centre forwards up and let's make sure you can't, you know, go all guns blazing and go after us, because you still got to concentrate on our attackers type of thing. And it's that kind of, you know, managerial mindset that he seems to have, and certainly he's got one up over his best mate. So yeah, really good to see. For those who don't know, Ben, fortunately or unfortunately, has the position just under the screen in the corner as a season ticket seat. Very close, of course, to the away end. Ben, can you give us a perspective from that side of things from yesterday, pal?
I'd love to, but they all disappeared at half time. So my analysis is shortened to that of about 50 minutes, unfortunately. No, the atmosphere was great inside the ground. That corner is always notoriously a little bit more lively than perhaps other parts of the ground. But I think I cannot remember a single manager who hasn't referenced the importance of the atmosphere at home games. And that was a terrific example of what it should and could be like when we all turn up and get behind the lads. You know, it makes a difference. I said there that the managers have referenced it, but it's not just the managers, it's the players as well, have all spoke about that 12th man effect that the crowd can have. And I think Leslie actually put a comment in the chat saying we should give ourselves a little bit of credit as well. And I think that's absolutely right. I think the fans were excellent. And the players responded to that. And, you know, we saw, you know, getting the lead early doors really settled, I think, a few nerves perhaps in the crowd, if there were any. And the players responded to the occasion fantastically well, which is something that we have not seen for 11 years at home and for quite a while. So, yeah, I was really, really impressed. And Pete, I'm also impressed with you, my friend, updating your YouTube profile picture as requested in your Fanzone podcast hoodie. So, Pete, a huge shout out to you as well, my friend.
Whilst you're speaking, Ben, I know you've highlighted this comment from Nick earlier on, just referencing the Fanzone interviews. Do you want to just kind of let the guys and girls know what happened yesterday?
Yeah, so you'll hear our post-match reaction segment a little bit later on in the show. We were thankfully able to get a few interviews. One in particular stood out. We managed to catch hold of Will Forrester after the game. Me and Ben were headed over to the fan zone, and unfortunately it was shut, which I'm assuming was a decision made in conjunction with the police, not letting too many fans get loud and leery on the ale. So we wandered around outside, and we found a few of you. We managed to grab hold of Will Forrester, and he gave us a little chat. So you'll hear that later on. But the plan is after every... And the microphones, by the way, worked wonderfully. But you will be able to catch us in the fan zone after every Saturday game, providing it's open. If not, we'll be outside the ground somewhere near the fan zone. So just come and have a look, and you'll be able to find us.
Excellent stuff. We mentioned on previous episode that Mario Cozy-Dewberry is kind of banned from the man of the match segment. Ironically, seeing as though we played so well yesterday across the team, he actually probably, you might even say, so-called one of his quieter games. Mm-hmm. So he is able to be called upon for man of the match if you so feel. But I think this is going to be quite a difficult segment, this, because yesterday was a pretty impressive victory. As several of you have already done, please do get your man of the match in the chat. Obviously, we've got a few mentions for a couple of standouts, but I think it were pretty standout performances across the board yesterday. So we'll randomly we'll go with Dan. Dan, who was your man of the match yesterday, pal?
Well, I was debating between Farino and Thierry Gale, but I noticed a lot of people in the chat saying, and apologies for my voice as well, it's a bit croaky, but Chris Farino, absolute man mountain, just 16 corners, he's banging every one of them away. That were a game for him yesterday. I thought he were fantastic. Thierry Gale close behind him. I thought he's just getting stronger and stronger as he gets used to the league and the fitness is going up. Probably a shout out to Johnston as well. I was a bit on the fence whether I'd like to see him play in this fixture. When John was at his best, he's a warrior and he puts it all on the line. There are a couple of dodgy moments with him, in previous games, but I thought they were great today. Like you say, Cozy-Dewberry, one of his quieter games, but let him double up on him if we've got Thierry Gale bursting down left wing. It's going to give more space. And, Force was incredible as well. You could have probably picked any of them and it'd be a pretty good shout, to be honest. But Big Chris, legend, he's got it for me.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll take it from the perspective of the television. Daryl, what was your... Because I always find it's quite a different perspective in it, watching it at home than in the stadium. What was your thoughts on the man of matches?
Yeah, it is, and I'm a bit disappointed about that because it was... Because, as you say, it's such a complete performance, but I obviously got what you get through I Follow or Wondrous TV, which is ropey, isn't it? Shall we say? Sometimes. Although, to be fair, it was pretty good. It was pretty good yesterday, to be fair. It was all right. Chris Farino's an obvious shout, isn't he? I mean, and I think that, it feels weird, doesn't it, to be picking a defender on a day that we scored 4. But I think that victory was built from the back, actually, wasn't it? I think that we had some really early, steady clearances at the start of the game, which I think set a tone. And I think that in contrast, Wigan didn't. Wigan were shaky at the back from the off, and I don't think that the game ever really left that balance. I think it was in that balance for the rest of the game. So I think that mattered, and I think it probably on balance won us the game. I'm actually going to go for I'm going to go just a bit rogue actually. I'm going to go Simons or Simmons. What is it? Is it Simons or Simmons?
I think it's Simons. I think it is. That you want to say Simmons because of the lad who Spurs have just signed.
Yeah, I know. Exactly.
I think it is Simons.
Okay, all right. I'm going to go Simons. So I think, I think because I think he sort of had a performance yesterday that I didn't quite go under the radar because I don't think you'll find anybody who felt like he didn't have a good game. But the way that he kind of connected the defense and the attack yesterday, and the way that he sort of controlled that midfield, was just an absolute masterclass. The guy is an absolute Rolls Royce of a football player. The fact that we had George Thomason, pre in as often as that central peg in previous seasons, and now we've got him, is just an unbelievable upgrade. And that's nothing against Thomason. I actually like him as a footballer, and he's a cracking lad. But he is just such an exceptional, poised, considered, clever football player who doesn't hasn't shone every game, doesn't perhaps maybe necessarily suit every game, but is when he's on it like he was yesterday, he is just brilliant. Just such a great centre of gravity of a team.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. To be fair, I think he's a different type of player to Tomo in many ways. I think he drives.
It was probably an unfair comparison. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can see why, because he's got the same number as him, hasn't he? And ultimately, we have got rid of one midfielder and brought another one in. But I think the dynamic in that centre of the park is perfect now, isn't it? Really for that element of success, and it allows us to take control of games as well, which is what we're seeing through the midfield, and it's a really critical thing to any team to have a strong centre midfield, and the fact that you can keep Josh Sheehan out of the team says it all, really, doesn't it? My man of the match, ironically, my dad put in about the keeper, and I think unfairly, in my eyes, people pointing at him as a bit of a not a great start to his career at Wanderers, but I wholeheartedly disagree with that statement. And yesterday backed it up even more. I think he commanded in his area obviously very well, and installed confidence across the whole of the back line, which is a reason why the defence yesterday, in my view, played so well against two pretty strong, dominant centre forwards that Wigan have got, big lads. It stems from the goalkeeper, in my opinion. I don't think he could have done much more with the ball. In fairness to him, I think it was a cracking finish from the former Wrexham man Mullin. But yeah, all in all, I think there's really stand-up performances across the whole team. But Christopher Eno for me has to get it because I think he was he'd be heading balls in his sleep, I think, last night. Ben,
can I make a quick point before you go to Ben? Sorry, just really quickly, just on the keeper. Sorry, Ben, but on the keeper, it's such a good point you make, because I think yesterday was a really good example of how the stats are not telling the full picture on him, and I've seen so much criticism of him based on stats, right? Yesterday, Wigan had one shot on goal and scored a goal, right? And so you look at that and you go, God, what's happening there? And it's not the first time that's happened, right?
No.
He conceded like pretty much most of the shots that he's had against him, or something like that this season, right? But that isn't his game. You have to see him in a complete game like that, where he commanded his area, caught balls really well, as you say, gave the confidence. I think he's been really betrayed by the stats. And I think yesterday was a really good example of how that's not fair.
Yeah,
sorry,
absolutely.
Ben.
I think people will probably be arguing to say his job is to keep the ball at the net. But when you look at it, we have only conceded how many goals we conceded? 8 or something like that? 7 or something? I'm not sure what it is. It's not that many, is it really, to be fair, when you look at it? And we have got a pretty good goal difference on the back of that. And the defence looks like it's improving as well, which stems from the goalkeeper. Ben, you're man of the match.
Yeah, there's lots of shouts I like that. Simons, I think he's been great, and he's showing us what the standard is to play in that midfield and to be the first name on the team sheet. And he's raised the bar for every single player in the squad. I think he's been exceptional since he came in. I thought Cogley had a really good game. Another one that's perhaps been fairly criticised. I think Sharman Lowe again didn't do anything spectacular, but that was enough. That's what you sometimes keepers need to do in these kind of games. But for me, my man of the match was Fours. I think he came into the 10 and for his first start was absolutely magnificent. He put pressure on the right players at the right times. He picked up balls. He was direct. He was quick. He was sharp, and he looked like someone not that we just signed on loan and hadn't really had many minutes. He looked like that was where he was meant to be. We've been ranting and raving for weeks now about the need for a player to just have a crack and to just have a shot and have a go, and to get your shots on target, and for him to have 2 shots, 2 on target, 2 goals, I think is put us on the right track for that game. I thought he was really, really good. I was really impressed. And then for him to come off and Burstow to drop into that 10, it was nice to have that interchangeable sort of 10 role and it not look too out of place, which has been a bit of a sore spot for us so far this season. So for me, For's 2 goals, I think, just nails it for me.
Yeah, and I think that's important that you point that out as well, Ben, about the kind of, the interchangeable of that 10, because he didn't really start as a 10 yesterday, Force, did he? I think people need to kind of remember that when comparing him to McAtee or Joe Randall or whatever it might be, because he played kind of like a 9.5, I think, yesterday, even such a position, just off the centre forward, which is something
like
we've not...
10.
Yeah, like whatever you'd like to say, which isn't something that we've done in recent games, if at all. Did that stand out, that Daryl, in terms of the way he played through the TV?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I could see that. I saw that happen. Yeah, I did through my telly. Yeah, it did. It did really stand out to me. And actually, at first, I thought he'd pretty much gone 2 up top, and then as Force started to move into that space a bit more, and obviously the role that he played in Burstow's goal kind of really speaks to that. And I think that has solved a problem for us. I think it has. I think we saw something yesterday that I think is going to be really potent, which we can put him in that. We can put him in that hole. We can put him in that position. And he can drop into that hole, and he can play that role in a way that no other player has really managed to make their own of this season.
No, and I think it's as coined a phrase that Andrew uses quite a lot. It's horses for courses, and it depends on the game. It depends on the scenario. The most important thing is we've got lots of options, haven't we? Which is obviously going to help us, all being well, hopefully progress up the leagues. So we've had our instant reaction. We've had our man of the match, which I think we've kind of decided upon. Farino, is it 2 votes to 1 each? Is that right? Fair to say. Which I think most people will agree with that, to be honest. So yeah, congratulations to Chris Farino. Keep heading, because I think you're going to keep out our captain, Owen Tall, aren't you, at this rate, which is obviously what we want, because it's competition for places, isn't it, which is great stuff. We'll go into the gaffer's notebook and we'll hear Statman's 2 penneth of yesterday's performance.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Gaffer's Notebook, where of course we're reviewing an unbelievable win, which is, I think it is the first unbelievable win of the season, is it not? In the derby as well. Can it get any better? I don't know. But just before we get into it, someone is definitely listening to me at the club. Not to toot my own horn or anything, because I did say you could play a 4-4-2 with Force. And you did. I said you should beat them at their own game, counter-attacking. And you did. I said you should play Big Eve in midfield. And you did. Just give me a job. No. I only kid. Now, I should say, if I end up looking that way, it's because I've got the Rugby League Reserves Grand Final on. And you may think, why? My mate, since I've known from about 3, is playing. So, yeah, bear with if I look that way. But let's move on to the review, because let's be fair, absolutely nobody cares about that, do they? So, the main thing I want to touch on, we're not even going to bother with the tactics board today, because you don't need it. The main thing I want to touch on is this right here, right? The average positions from the game. And it tells you quite a lot, believe it or not. So, the first thing is your 2 forwards, Burstow and Force, they dropped off their defensive line quite significantly. As you can see with the average positions, both your wingers are higher than the strikers. And that makes life very difficult for the Wigan centre-backs and defensive midfielder, because no one really knows who they should mark. And that is how Force scored his first goal in the first half. He just peeled off, stayed in the space between them both beautifully, and it was superb. Burstow took the runners, good ball from wing, cracking goal. Now, I want to talk about your defenders, because you can obviously see they're very, very deep. And it's because you did what I said. You sat in a bit of a mid-block when you didn't have the ball. And that meant when you did get the ball, you were absolutely gone. literally lightning fast. And I think pretty much every goal came from a counter-attack or a transition of some sorts. And that is proper football, is it not? Now, I reckon next game, you'll probably go back to more possession football. But even so, you'll get a big confidence boost from this game, as you should. The only thing you need to take from this game, really, is you can still play quick while you're dominating the ball. Because at the end of the day, football is about moments, and moments come from quick play. So it's all good and well dominating the ball, but you need to have a moment of pace, of a quick pass, of a running behind, of a drop and go. Know what I mean? Now let's go to the individuals, shall we? Big Eth, absolutely superb. 3 chances created, which was the most of anybody on the pitch. 31 out of 36 passes completed, just kept things ticking over in the middle of the park. 2 tackles made, 5 ball recoveries, and most importantly, he allowed Simons to get a bit more involved. It'd be a 1 sit and 1 goal type thing. He was superb. And I want to give a bit of a shout out to George Johnston as well, which you may not expect. I thought he had a very good game. And there were calls for him not to play this game, for maybe Taylor to play, or even Fredino and Toll. However, I am wheezing a bit here. I have no idea why. But he was mint. His ball to Gale in the first half was absolutely disgusting. And to be fair, Sam Tickle did very well to stop Gale getting there. But that was superb. He made 5 passes into the final third from centre-back, which cannot be understated how good that is. 10 clearances as well, 4 aerial duels won. Just an all-round superb performance from the centre-back. And, he was very good with Farino next to him. And you have to ask the question, will Toll get back in? He's obviously been wearing the armband. Maybe he won't, but Schumacher's got a big call to make there, doesn't he? But I am going to leave it there for this episode, because you all want to just enjoy the win, don't you? You don't want to listen to me blab on and on about tactics when you just won 4-1 or whatever the bleeming score was, do you? So enjoy the rest of the show, and I'm sure I'll see you very soon. Goodbye.
Thank you very much, Mr. Statman. Interesting takes there. Big Malt said the best Statman section so far by a long way.
Class act, isn't he?
Say that again.
He's a class act, isn't he?
Class act, indeed. He was of the opinion that we did go 2 up top, so I guess it's a good job we didn't play McAtee as the second striker, because maybe we wouldn't have had as much success. Whilst we're thinking about McAtee, I was having a conversation with Chris earlier on today, kind of going off on a tangent to an extent, but where do we see John McAtee at this moment in time? Because for me, right or wrongly, I know you shouldn't say that again.
Well, at the minute he's on the bench or at home. It's not really.
Yeah,
I cannot see a way in. Exactly
that, and he's a bit of a, I wouldn't say fan favourite, but he's not exactly disliked, is he? In many ways. I'm just a bit perplexed, because this is maybe rightly or wrongly, and I know you shouldn't really read too much into social media and all that type of stuff, but I happened to notice that the victory yesterday was a great victory for not only the starting 11 and the match day squad, but the whole team as a collective. Even to the point where Shonny, who's on loan at some random Hungarian side, happened to repost the channel in, I'm guessing, happiness, the fact that we managed to have such a victory. And the kind of post that McAtee put out there was some promotion of his friend or whoever it was, aftershave company, mid-afternoon yesterday. I'm probably wrong to read into that, really. And I'll hold my hands up if people think I'm being a bit daft here, but that type of mentality, is that saying that he's all part of the team and he feels part of the team, or
yeah, I wouldn't. I get it. I think you've answered your own question, Cole. I wouldn't read into it. I don't. I think I understand why you would, but I wouldn't. And I think I think the lives that players live online is, and we know that he is there, and we know that he sees stuff, and I think he's probably been either spurred on by it or affected by it, the criticism that he's had. I guess that, they are with each other all the time. They're with the management all the time. They're the coach all the time. They're having conversations all the time. We're not privy to. They'll be getting pastoral care that we're not privy to, all the time. And they will feel things that we don't know they feel, either indifference or anger or passion and love. And I think we have a very incomplete picture of their lives and what they're about. And
very true.
Yeah,
very true. Yeah, it's just an interesting perspective, because I kind of thought, that victory yesterday as a collective, people be or if I was on that team, I'd be kind of jumping from the rooftop type of thing. That's all.
But he'll be frustrated. He wasn't part of it. Of course, he'd be frustrated. If I was a football player for Bolton Wanderers and I wasn't part of yesterday, for whatever reason, I'd be frustrated. That's a completely natural feeling to have, isn't it?
Of course, and also we don't know how good this aftershave is, do we? That might be.
Very true.
Some the next creed or whatever. So
good point.
Yeah,
I think he needs a loan. To answer the question about what he's about. I know this. Sorry to preempt what you said, but I think I don't think he's got a place in this team, and I think he needs a loan to play some football and to find some confidence and to get some minutes under his belt, because I don't think he's going to get that here. And it's the sort of thing that work really. You look at the way that works for Morley. He may come back in January a different player, or later in the season, or next season, or whatever. And maybe there's a position for him then, depending on where we are and all that sort of stuff. But I think he needs to play, and at the moment, for me, he's not doing that here.
Yeah,
no.
Listen, I don't want to go on negative. It wasn't to be negative. It was more observation. I was just kind of keen to get people's thoughts on him, and because I think he's got a lot of good qualities, and it's a shame that he's kind of not in and around it. But we've got a lot of options, haven't we? Like I said already, so that's part and parcel of football. 3 up, 3 down. So for Daryl, if he's not been privy to this before, this is where we give our 3 positives and 3 kind of negative spins from yesterday. Obviously, you've got it with a cup of tea in your hand, but yeah, we'll go from there. Who knows, Daryl? Maybe the fact that you was nice and warm at home and not in that rain yesterday could be your up from yesterday. But we'll start with Ben. Ben, what's your positive take? Football or not from yesterday?
Mine is a non-football one this week. My positive is that my uncle from down south came up to watch the game with us yesterday, so I've got an extra ticket, and my uncle Dennis is a Norwich fan, and he came up and enjoyed the game with us yesterday. He's been planning on coming up for a few years now and never really managed it, that was my positive from yesterday. It was nice to see him enjoying himself, and he found a lot of the chants. I don't know if anyone has ever been to the Norwich area, but they have a very strong dialect. It's almost like a different language, and he found a lot of the chants that we were directing towards the away end highly amusing. So that was my positive.
Dan, what's your positive, pal, from yesterday?
So you could pick numerous. Apologies for the voice. Mine is Conway going in for maybe a 50-50 on the touchline in the build-up to Force's goal that ended up going to Thierry Gale down the left-hand side. I think in games gone by in this fixture, we lose that duel, but he won it, and I felt that was like epitomised for me what we were all about yesterday, on the front foot, going for 50-50 second balls, everything like that. I just really enjoyed watching Max go in there and it culminate in a goal. And we won the ball back quite a few times, turned them over. And there was another one, I can't remember who did it. They won the ball and we scored off it for Burstows. But yeah, that for me, I really enjoyed that. Yeah.
And Nick's rightly pointed out in the chat, isn't it 4 up, 4 down today, with there being 4 of us in the chat? Of course it's 4 up, 4 down. I'll go with mine. My positive yesterday was the wing play on both flanks for the Wanderers, culminating in the linesman struggling to keep up with our wingers and managed to pull his hamstring or pull his thigh or whatever it was. So that was quite amusing. Clearly struggling to keep up with the pace of our flying wingers. So that's my positive from yesterday. Daryl, what about yours, pal?
The person who said about Sam Tickle banging on the grass, by the way, did you see the "We Will Rock You" video that somebody said? Class, absolute class. I love that. Very funny. My positive yesterday is going to be maybe this is going to be controversial. I thought the ref. I think you saw yesterday what happens when a referee lets a bit of physicality happen, doesn't make it all about them, isn't blowing the whistle every 5 minutes. I think he missed a foul on Gale in the build-up to Paul Mullins' goal, but I could sort of see. No. Yeah. Well, but what is that? You don't think it was a foul?
I don't know. I think a bit soft, me.
Well, yeah. Well, exactly. Well, okay. So I think it probably could have been given as a foul, and I was a bit annoyed at the time that it wasn't. But in defence to the referee, yeah, probably it was a bit soft. And actually, maybe what made him a good referee yesterday was the fact that he didn't blow for that, because Gale let into it a bit, and and it was a bit of physicality in a derby, and he let that happen, and he wasn't whistle happy. And I don't think you can underestimate just how much of a difference that makes to enjoying watching a game of football when the referee is even mildly competent, and he was yesterday. So full credit. And we're always very quick to criticise and to slag them off when they're bad. So full credit to Ben Speedy. I thought he had a good game.
So does that therefore mean that we have to give credit to the PGM or I think it's known as now, for choosing that referee?
Yeah, all of them.
That game yesterday.
Yeah, all of them. Full credit to them all. Yeah.
Because often they pick the wrong officials, don't they? This level to manage this certain game. So yeah, credit where it's due. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. What about your down, Ben, from yesterday? Have you got a down from yesterday?
Difficult, isn't it? I mentioned at the start of the episode about the fans disappearing at half-time, and that is going to be my down. I was livid that maybe 2,000 Wigan fans didn't have to endure the full-time whistle when we won 4-1, because I have been in that ground and at their ground far too many times on the 90-minute whistle, absolutely wanting to pull my eyes out. So unfortunately, that's my down.
Dan, what about you, pal? Have you got a down, possibly?
But it's kind of a positive as well, so see how it sounds. So the Wigan fans, right, they had a goal allocation, filled a lot of seats, made a bit of noise, and then after we scored, silent. I expected an away following to back the team a little bit more, even after going a goal down, and it felt like they just gave up, which in turn makes it the positive, because that makes it easier for our fans to get behind, and probably a bit easier for our players to play with a bit more confidence. But shocking for the numbers they brought. You don't just give up after one goal. So yeah, if that is a down, that is my down.
You wonder how many actual Wigan fans were in that away end. And I say that because I've noticed on YouTube, and this isn't me up trying to wind them up, Daryl. That's me laughing.
I love it.
Because I think a lot of Wigan fans, the ones that I know, aren't necessarily just Wigan fans. I'll leave it at that. And secondly, I'd seen on YouTube quite a few vloggers of other teams' fans in the away end for whatever reason. So maybe that was a contributing factor, Dan, as to the reason why they weren't as you expected.
Could be. I did see there was a lad from Villa. I didn't watch the video, but I don't know if he ended up in the away end or the Bolton end, because they
I did.
Yeah, you could be onto something there, but I just think going a goal behind, rally behind your team, don't you? You don't stop singing and chanting then on a away day. You know what it's like, especially against your a local derby. I think about us at Huddersfield last season, just proper away end, that full of shouting. Even if we'd have got a goal down, there'd have been no change in the voice coming from them stands. But I thought they were poor as a team and as fans. So sorry.
Yeah, I think that they very much remind me like Plymouth. I think they've got two teams, a lot of them. So maybe it's not. It doesn't mean as much to them. Who knows? Have you got a down, Daryl?
I've got two. Can I have two?
You can have mine, because I haven't said mine yet, so you can have mine.
No, you go on. You do yours.
I don't know what it is yet. I'm waiting for you.
Okay, fine. All right, I'll fill some time for you. Wigan just don't have a very big fan base, by the way. It's not a controversial thing to say. They just don't. That's just a matter of fact. We can see that from the numbers of the people that go to watch the football matches. They just don't. It's not a criticism. It's just a fact. I've got one down actually about our fans, which is I think too many people. From what I could see, I think too many people left before the end of the whistle. I don't understand. Maybe people have reasons, places to go, all that sort of stuff. Except that, but I just never understand leaving a football match, even when you're 4 up. Like leaving before the end of the movie, you never know what's going to happen. You want to celebrate, especially on a day like that. You want to celebrate the whistle, right?
I would say in some people's defence. Although I stay right to the end, but by far not everybody lives in Bolton.
Yeah,
and it is
and the traffic's bad. And on a busy match day like that, yeah, getting away and stuff. Fine,
I think where I sit, like the 3 or 4 rows of people that I know around where I sit, I think you've got somebody who lives like near Warrington. So I live obviously in Southport. Somebody behind me lives in Hull. So people, there's a perception that everyone lives in Bolton. I think it's far from that. I think that's a big contributor. Although I disagree with it, and I'm 20 miles away. So
yeah, and I live in Manchester. So yeah. I don't live in Bolton. So yeah, totally fine. Can I do one more? Am I allowed to do another one?
Yeah, floor's yours.
You mentioned about us managing the game earlier, and I kind of like I slightly disagree. I think that for about 10-15 minutes, I thought we were a bit lax, and I thought we kind of gave the ball away a few too many times. And actually, there was a point where like Wigan got a goal and they got a bit in it, and they looked as though like they had a bit of energy. And I must admit, even though we were 4-1 up, a fixture like that, you just never know what's going to happen. And I felt a bit nervous, and I think that we could have, for that period, managed the game a bit better. I think we went on to do it, but obviously as time ran out, their belief ran out, and so that helped. But I think I was saying at halftime, when I said to myself at halftime when it was 3-0, is this going to be a good performance or is it going to be a great performance? I.e., do we come back for 45, maybe get another goal and then manage the game brilliantly, or at 3 anything can happen? They get a goal, get another, it's game on, etc. I think it was probably somewhere in between, but I would have liked tidier passing and a little bit for us to be a little bit tighter for that 15-20 minutes, that 10-15 minutes that we weren't.
Yeah. No, fair enough.
But a very minor gripe on a great day, by the way.
I think that's a really good point. I said I was there obviously with my uncle and my little brother, and they scored obviously in the 54th minute. And my little brother turned to me and he said, "I'm not too sure about this one." He's seen us enough times to know what happens when teams score goals against us. And I said to him, I was like, they'll have a wave for 10 minutes, and if we can ride that, we'll be okay. But it felt like that wave lasted a little bit longer. It was more into the 15-20 minutes after them scoring where it was like they've still got a chance here. And I think the subs that we made on 70 minutes kind of helped nullify anything that they were going to do. But yeah, Darryl, I would tend to agree with what you said there. It was they got that goal back, and we just it seemed like there was an element of nerves creeping in, which I would have. It's probably natural, but I would have preferred us to be a little bit more robust about our business.
Really interesting in it, people's perspectives, because I was sat there yesterday and I won't worry one bit from what they're on offer. They could have had the ball now and they wouldn't have scored.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was just so relaxed watching that yesterday. Like even when they had the little 10-15 minutes or whatever it were, I could never see them scoring. I think they did. Yeah,
I think though, Cole, to be fair, I mean that's fine. That's the way you felt when they scored. There's always that bit of you that thinks, "Oh no!" Like for me anyway, that maybe it's the pessimist or whatever in me, or that we've seen it before in football many a time. It's not as comfortable, especially when they do have that little period of 10 to 15 minutes, because if they score again, the players' confidence and the bottle could be come into question. And obviously it gives them more confidence going forward. So when they scored, I did think, flipping heck, here we go. It's going to make it not nervy. There wasn't one goal in it, but I don't know. It just puts that bit of doubt into your mind after. It did with me anyway.
We're a contributing factor to that though in the stands. When we give off that negativity and we don't react positively to things, then that obviously portrays that message onto the players as well. So we have a duty as well to kind of analyze what we're seeing and see what they're trying to do. In my view, they just went into too two fours and just tried to kind of manage themselves defensively and stick to the positions and head everything that we're getting crossed in. Because at the end of the day, they had one shot on target all game. So,
we were
they
solid.
didn't have any additional shots after that goal that was so-called the 10-15 minutes. So
yeah, no, I agree with you. And it weren't that they were like peppering the goal or anything, but I suppose I felt like maybe they got into a few more dangerous, not dangerous, but a bit more dangerous areas than they were doing beforehand.
Yeah, I think that their spell that they had was not a result of anything they were doing differently. It was a result of our sloppiness and our misplaced passes giving them opportunities. It wasn't that they were doing anything differently. There was no great merit or change of intensity that came from them. It was they got their goal and we misplaced a few passes and gave them opportunities that we hadn't done for the last 55 minutes.
Yeah, they were never good enough to take them.
No,
they were never going to be good enough to take them. No. But it's you know what this game's like. How often have we? I mean, you look at the Blackpool game where we absolutely hammered them, and then they bloody scored a goal with the one shot, and it came off the post and hit the keeper. And like that happened. Paul Mullin gets his goal, you get a fluky deflection, and suddenly it's 4-2, and you're like, well, hang on a minute, they're only 2, and maybe they don't have enough to get back in the game, but it makes a great day an okay day, and things change in this game. And we're also a bit scarred. We're scarred by this fixture. We've got there's a lot of trauma attached to this fixture, isn't there? So.
Yeah. My down, I've had time to think about it, is I don't know if it's because I'm getting old or not, but the people will probably laugh at this, but the music that they have on at the start, I don't mind the song choices that we're going for and trying to rev up the atmosphere, but I can't hear myself thinking that ground before it starts. It's so loud. And not only that, it's just noise because you can't actually hear the songs because the speakers are knackered because they're like 28-year-olds. So let's blast the tunes out, but let's blast the tunes out when we can actually hear what they're singing or whatever song it is that's on through. I think I'm just getting old because I sound like my dad here, to be fair. But yeah, that's a bit of a negative from yesterday. It's very loud. Leslie's saying it's louder, but it makes she might be talking about me. I'm not sure. Instant match reactions from yesterday, like Ben's touched upon already. We were outside the fan zone yesterday on mulling around outside the fan zone because it was closed. We are going to be doing that after every Saturday 3:00 game, every single fixture of the season. So please make yourself known if you're in the area, you fancy jumping on, because this is what you can come to expect.
We're here with Will Forrester, 4-1 win against Wigan. How do you feel, mate?
Yeah, unreal. Boys were so good today, especially first half. And then we naturally just dropped off a little bit second half, but it was good to do them again today.
Yeah, it's finally great to do it over, mate. It's been coming, hasn't it, this season? We've been really good and creating loads of chances. We finally took them today, didn't we?
Yeah, since first game of the season, the boys have been really good. Performances, just the draws have killed us a little bit, but I think that all the fans can see how well we're actually playing. And then someone was due at Pasting soon enough, and luckily it was them boys today.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, personally, we're all excited for you to come back. How's it going?
Yeah, no, it's good. I'm in Pasta's fully fit now, so just training, and obviously when the boys are playing so well, it's can't really say much. So just keep grafting away on the training ground, and hopefully soon get picked.
Perfect, brilliant. So Jordan, we finally beat them at home. It's been 11 years and they're coming 4-1. How do you feel, mate?
Buzzing. They're the games that you want to see us absolutely smash your rivals in.
Yeah, it feels like it's been a long time coming, especially against these lot. I mean, in a lot of games this season we've had a lot of chances and failed to score them. We finally scored every chance we had today, didn't we, pretty much?
Yeah, I think it was actually right from the off before the game where Schumacher said he wanted to turn them over, and I think that's gone into the game, and we've actually took our chances for a change, and it's paid off.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 2 goals for Marcus Force today, a first league goal for Thierry Gale. Any other individuals stood out for you today?
Xavi Simons is a cheat code as well. He should not be playing in League One, but we've got to make use of it and try and get out of the league with him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a change in midfield today. It was Simons and Arahon in midfield. I think they controlled the game. Like, it was a massive difference, wasn't it? How do you feel?
Arahon deserves credit as well. He kept the midfield quiet and allowed Simons to do his bit, like be the playmaker.
Yeah, absolutely. So a 4-1 win finally against them boys. How do you feel, mate?
Absolutely, suck it to them. They were loud, but they weren't loud at the end, that's for sure.
Yeah, sang for about 10 minutes, didn't they? After that, it's pretty quiet. Fantastic start to the game.
Yeah. Absolutely, that kept them quiet for a while, no doubt.
Any individuals stood out for you today?
Yeah, my little lad was mascot with Marcus Force, and obviously he scored 2, so what else can you ask for?
Must have the magic touch, yeah. Marcus Force, 2 goals on his first start. Pretty impressive, wasn't it? Anyone else stood out for you today?
Oh, Dewberry, of course. Right on the side, he caused a lot of trouble keeping them awake on that side.
Yeah. I think all the focus was on Dewberry, wanted by the Wigan defenders, but Thierry Gale had a great game on the other side as well, didn't he?
Thierry Gale as well, yeah. We were sat down at the front. He was keeping them well busy.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. So a 4-1 win finally against them lot. How do you feel?
Amazing. They played brilliantly throughout the whole game.
Yeah,
Amazing.
Fantastic. It's about time, isn't it? Yeah. Any individuals stood out for you today?
I thought Burstow was brilliant, and 2 wingers, Gale and Dewberry, amazing.
Yeah, 2 goals for Marcus Force as well in his first start. Yeah, he was quality, wasn't he?
Yeah, made an impact straight away, and then straight at the start of the second half as well. Brilliant instinct to take it away as well.
Yeah.
Excellent stuff. The mics are great, Ben. Class work, that.
When they work, yeah.
Nah, it's we've been asked in the chat by Laura. We're going to be doing this away games after the game with the fans.
At the minute, it's not in the plans just because someone then has to have responsibility over the mics, and then passing them and chopping them and changing them between everyone can get pretty messy pretty quickly, especially if people aren't going to certain games. But who knows? Maybe if we if things change in the future, we might start doing it away games as well.
Yeah, I think we want to go on. But sorry.
Oh, so sorry. I was going to say, I didn't know you were going to speak.
No, it's fine. Go for it.
Mention for Burstow there, I thought, which was really good, because we haven't talked about him at all, and yet he got a goal and he was brilliant and he led the line and he was superb. And we talked about like all the anxiety about going into this season, as the start of the season, without any striker coming in, and there he was.
Little did we know the people who run the football club actually know what they're doing. Who would have guessed it? No, yeah, you're absolutely right. I think that's why the instant reactions are exactly that, really, what it's saying, instant, and it gives you that kind of, instant opinion as to kind of what's went well. And often when you spoke about it a day later, you kind of forget how well certain players have played. So, yeah, very good point, that, Daryl. Okay, so best to move on swiftly so we can keep it under the hour to the Fanzone Fan Focus.
Yes, ladies and gents, get your contributions in the comments as we go through this evening's Fan Focus segment. Please do get your thoughts in, and we will have a little chat about them tonight. A couple that have starred as this evening's episode has gone on that we can quickly box off. Leslie, where did you get the Statman from? He's so good. That was the power of Twitter, or formerly Twitter, now X. He just started writing stuff about Wanderers. One of his good friends is a Wanderers fan, and so we sent him a little message, and we managed to recruit him. And it is also his birthday as well today. So if you fancy going and hopping over on X and sending him a little birthday message, I'm sure he would appreciate that. But from us all, Statman, a very, very big happy birthday. He is exactly as you've said, so good at what he does. Louise has said, wasn't man of the match, but can we put some respect on Cogley's name? Now, Cogley is a funny one for me, because he's been coined by a lot of Wanderers players as someone who is a consistent, maybe 6-7 out of 10 every week. However, on the weeks where his performances aren't a 6 or a 7, he seems to be one of the first to be called out on it, and sometimes it feels a little bit unfair for me, because I think he has got that reliable nature about him. And I think, Dan, it was actually you who said, I'm not sure whether this was on a podcast or whether it was in a debrief afterwards. You said he was designed to come in as the number 2 behind Kane Wilson, who eventually went off to Derby County. And I think that's important that we remember that fact when we're criticising his performances, that he did come from a League Two Tranmere team and hasn't really looked that out of place in what has been a team pushing for promotion in League One.
But, sorry, Ben, to add to that, prior to playing for Tranmere in the League Two, he was playing in the Championship for Birmingham. So
yeah, and I mean,
he's obviously at the level.
I'm not entirely sure. I don't think he was getting regular minutes at Birmingham as a Championship player, but you know, he's not looked out of place in a League One team, and I think that's important that people remember that. I think we can tend to be a little bit overly critical.
Yeah, he's also I think just much more suited to the role that he's playing now, rather than like we were relying on him on that wing far too much, and we were relying on him to get balls in and for delivery, and like he's actually just not very good at it. Like the amount of times that's why he's had a really bad reputation, is because he was being asked to fulfill a role that he's just not that good at. Whereas I think he's a lot better now. I think the pressure is off for him to do that kind of stuff, and he's got a bit more freedom to be his better self. He's not the greatest player we've ever had, and he's not going to be the greatest player we've ever had. But he's a acceptable cog in a functioning machine, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he played 5 games in the Championship before moving to Tranmere, and he was on loan at Crawley Town in League Two the season before that. And like you've said, that positional change, moving from a wing back, where we've seen the likes of Connor Bradley and Marlon Fossey, he isn't that type of player. And I think we should just be okay that he isn't going to be that type of player, and he is much more suited to being that fullback. And when he's played there, the praise has come in from him this season so far as well. Another one from Louise, which I thought was a really interesting one, because it's something that we spoke about on this podcast for quite possibly since we started the show. Is Simmonds that midfielder we've been missing and talking about for years? We have always said we need a tough person. Do we still? And Dan, I'm going to pass this one over to you, because I think you're the only one that's probably not spoke about this at some stage. Daryl, I'm sure in your few guest appearances, we must have had this question at least once. But Dan, do you see Simmonds as that perhaps enforcer in the middle? Can he be that for you? Is he that for you?
He's not a pure enforcer, only because he's so much more than that. He offers you pure box-to-box like ability. Every box pretty much he will tick that you want in that position. And also, if you want him to play that bit deeper and get a Morley or a Sheehan in, he might want to play a bit more advanced. He will do that dirty work, but there's no such thing as a complete midfielder in this league, I'm sure, but he looks as close as you're going to get. I think Erahon potentially is that more enforcer type. Again, decent on the ball as well, but I think out of the two of them, I'd say probably Erahon is that enforcer if you were to pigeonhole them into that one position. But I think Simmonds, he's got everything about him. He's just ridiculous. 300 grand and 22. It's disgusting how we got him, to be honest. Take him all day long.
Yeah, we've talked about Simmonds a hell of a lot on the show. Daryl, what have you made of his performances so far this season?
Incredible. Like I said, he's a Rolls Royce of a player. And I wonder if it's interesting, isn't it? Because I don't think I've not felt like you're right. He isn't like the absolute B word of a midfielder that we've sort of said over recent years that we need. A bit of a bruiser to throw themselves around a bit in midfield. But I wonder if we've needed that less because we've been so much more complete in midfield. We've been so much better with the ball in midfield in this formation with this team that it's been less of a we've sort of like we've bossed the midfield with our ball control rather than having to dominate midfield with physicality. And I think that's quite interesting how we've sort of almost solved that problem without having to find somebody who smashes into people for fun.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting point.
Because he isn't, is he? He isn't the kind of guy that goes smashing into people. Neither of them are. And yet, for some reason, they are very dominant. They dominate the play in midfield.
Dominate the ball.
Dominate the ball, yeah. That's exactly right.
Yeah, and I mean, his defensive work is to be applauded, I think, because we've seen the likes of Sheehan and Morley that have tried playing in that, and we've asked for a little bit more robustness. But I think Simmons is such an intelligent footballer that when he tackles, he knows he's going to win the ball, and so it makes him look like that bullish kind of midfielder. He knows when to press, and he knows when to sort of arch his run a little bit, and he doesn't go into tackles that he doesn't think he's going to win. So when he is hitting people, he knows he's going to win the ball, and I think it creates that look about him, and I think that just stems from a really good understanding of the game and a really intelligent footballer.
Yeah, we're not prolifically fouling him in midfield like we used to. We were playing. I mean, not to mention to drag Thomason again, but we were asking him to do that a bit, and he was just hacking people down, and it was causing. He was out every 10 games with a suspension, and we gave fouls away.
I think the biggest takeaway for me was with Simons is he'll get better as well, because he has got parts of his game.
How?
Well, I think he needs to get better in certain areas already, really.
Yeah.
Like, he's defensively, I've seen him switch off a couple of times defensively. He doesn't necessarily use his body as well as he probably could do. And I think his general understanding of the game behind him as well as in front of him can improve, which makes him even more of an asset to the club long term.
I agree in parts about the defensive work. I think he can get better, but in terms of understanding the game behind him, I don't think there's anybody in this league that probably understands the game behind them better. The way he receives the ball from every single angle you could possibly think of and know exactly where that football is going to go. But 4 passes before it's been made.
He's 22. He's played 8-9 games for us so far. He's looked the part, but he signed a 4-year contract. If he's going to take us forward, he'll have to improve. Because he's going to play above a level. He's going to play above a level. He has to get better than what he is now.
But that's like Cozy Dewberry in that he is what we're seeing in both of them is such a natural gift for being on the ball and knowing where to put themselves and all that sort of stuff that they are only, as young as they are only going to get better. And the idea that Simons is going to get better with us, ideally in the Championship, is very exciting.
It's a positive thing. I'm not saying it's a negative thing. I'm saying he's not perfect, but he'll get even better. He's good. He's a very good midfielder, but he'll get even better.
Yeah, of course. I think he will naturally progress. But I think we can be. I think we should be careful with how we benchmark players, because every player has the potential to get better and or get worse. But I think we should perhaps give out credit where it's due and say, no, at this level, this player is exceptional. Yes, of course, he could get better. Yes, he could get worse. Yes, he could. His legs could fall off tomorrow and he'd never play football again. I think we should just not set the benchmark too high for some people and actually just go, you know what, at this level, you're doing a pretty good job.
And that's all we need. And for a very long time, we've been judging players on their ability to go with us to the Championship, managers' ability to go with us to the Championship, all that sort of stuff. Where they're going to get us next year. I've spoken to you before about that interview that Everett did the start of last season when he was talking about the way that we play. And there's no point in getting promoted to the Championship, he said, unless we're playing like we can be there. Nonsense. We're in League One. We need to get out of League One to play like we're in League One with players who can play in League One and get us out of this division. And that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, and the final one that we'll have is from Nick. Now, Nick's put 2 in. I'm going to choose the second that he put in. His first one was more shots on target than off target, and he thinks that's the first time this season, and it's vital that we continue that. I think we would all just go around and go, yes, I agree. So I did star that one just in case. But his second one was a wider question about the league. It really is wide open this year. Are we confident of getting into the top 2? I think we have the quality. We haven't mentioned we are undefeated since the first game. And I think that is a very good point. Top 2, I hadn't even considered that we might be unbeaten since that first game, because it feels the sentiment around some of these podcasts that we've been doing, and I shouldn't use Twitter as a yardstick, but unfortunately it feels unavoidable at times. Feels like we aren't actually doing that well, and there's still loads to improve on, which of course in some aspects there might well be. But we are undefeated since the first game. We've gone, 8 games now of football without losing, which in any other season, feels like we would have been banging on about how good it was. I know under Everett, we had several unbeaten runs that, I mean, we never stopped talking about, it felt like. Colin, I'll hand this one over to you. Top two, what are you looking at? I mean, currently Bradford and Stevenage sit in the top two spots. I would be phenomenally surprised if by the end of the season those are the two teams that are sitting in championship spots. But you never know. Football is a wonderful game. But Col, how are you feeling about the top two challenge?
Well, I think that we shouldn't fear anybody at this level. I think what we've got better than we've had in recent years is a squad that hopefully we can keep key players fit, which is a caveat of all caveats. Then we should be there and thereabouts. What's important, obviously, without kind of sounding obvious, is that we have to beat Northampton on Saturday. Otherwise, yesterday was a complete waste of time.
Correct.
It's imperative that we go there and wipe the floor with a poor Northampton side.
Correct.
And as much as I love Kevin Nolan, basically embarrassing. That's what we need to do. We need to go on a bit of a run, really, of victories now. And I think if we do that, the fact that we're only 6 points from first, I think, is it? Which can change in a couple of weeks, can't it? Quite easily. We need to win football matches now for the foreseeable. And looking at the fixtures, I think I reckon we can win the next 4. Easily.
That was exactly my next point, Daryl, that I was going to give to you. You look at the upcoming fixtures. You've got Northampton down in 15th, and then two teams in the bottom 2 spots in Peterborough and Burton. There is absolutely no reason why 9 points couldn't be on the cards for the next 3. Huddersfield is a
no. Again, beat them. They
drew
at home against Burton Albion yesterday.
Everyone,
but they drew at home against Burton Albion yesterday. They're clearly not a decent side if they're drawing against Burton Albion. So beat them.
Well, I mean, you could say that about us drawing with every team under the sun. But football is a funny old game. My point was the next 3 are absolute huge games that 3 points could easily be achieved. In Huddersfield is a different question. But how are you feeling ahead of the next few?
It's a weird league, this. It's a weird league. It always has been. Like we're sort of like talking about it as if it's kind of like. I mean, in a sense, it is competitive, and in a way, it's not. I mean, you're right. Anybody can beat anybody, and you can be in mid-table and 2 wins away from the top of the table. That's a remarkable place to be. It's very early. In terms of like the next couple of games. Yes, and we have to, because we have to, if we've been talking about turning those draws into wins, that's what has to happen now, right? Yeah. As we get into the autumn and the nights draw in and we get towards Christmas, we have to be in a strong enough position. And the only way we get into that kind of position is by turning those draws into wins. Are you asking me, can we get in the top 2? The answer to that question is, we have all the requisite tools to get into the top 2. I genuinely believe this team has the tools to get into the top 2. It's whether or not we use them properly. It's whether or not we have luck on our side on a couple of occasions, all that sort of stuff. We're not Birmingham City of last year or whatever. Or was that last year? Yeah, wasn't it? But we absolutely have what we need to do. It remains to be seen. It absolutely remains to be seen. We've had a cracking result against Wigan, and it clicked for an afternoon, but it's got a click for 4, 5, and that's what comes next. It remains to be seen.
What we do have on our side is the crowd. We said right at the very beginning of the podcast, that is literally a 12th man. So if you went yesterday and you don't normally go, try your very best to be that 12th man for the rest of the season, because it does make a massive difference to these clubs that turn up at our stadium.
Absolutely, it does indeed. And Dan, my final point for you that Daryl kindly led me into was that we talked about turning draws into wins. After Wimbledon, we had the conversations of, oh my God, is the top 2 on the cards? Have we finally seen it click? Is everything going exactly how we need it to? And then we know what happened after that, another 1-1 draw, thanks to a superb strike from Mario Cozy-Dewberry. But we've seen now, we've transitioned into the win a little bit quicker. What do you want to see now as we head into those 3 games? Obviously, we've got the cup game in between that, but Northampton, Peterborough, Burton. What do you want to see from this team? Is it just as simple as win that football match?
Yeah, win them. Win them. Win your games. I think anyone in this league, including ourselves, has got the capacity to go on a really poor run at some point, and I think that just probably speaks volumes about the league, that I don't think there's any one team like a Birmingham last season where you'd really fancy them outright to just keep the momentum going, maybe draw a couple here and there, lose the odd one. But for me, the performances have been decent. Let's turn that into goals on a consistent basis. And there's no reason with our squad, with the strength in depth, that we can't be up there at the end of the season. I've not seen anything from any other team so far, and I'm not trying to be arrogant towards other teams here, but we've got a lot of strength in depth. We're playing a decent style of football, and I think, I just think we will be up there. We will, but anything can happen in this league. You could get a couple of injuries. Look at last season, back end of last season, we were absolutely, on the floor with everybody. Everybody were injured, weren't they? Keep them fit. Keep picking up results, keep winning. It's as simple as that, isn't it? Just try and be consistent. We'll see what happens. It's a long whole season.
One thing is for sure, you'd like to think that victory yesterday will have them bouncing off the walls come training on Monday. So that, in theory, should allow us to go on a run.
Yeah, and it also made a statement about how we play when Cozy Dewberry's quiet, because we know it's there now, right? Because one of the sort of growing concerns in the last couple of weeks is, are we just giving the ball to this guy and hoping that he pulls something out of the bag? Yeah. And we've proven yesterday that's not how it needs to be. So absolutely, and we're incredible at the back. We're solid as hell in midfield. The only thing we need to do is trust our instincts in the final third and put the ball in the back of the net. We proved yesterday that we can do it. That's how far away we are from being a top 2 team. And now we need to prove it over the course of a couple of games. It's that simple.
Yeah.
And what a way to end the podcast. Daryl, been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Dan, thank you as ever, mate.
Thank you, everyone.
Ben, thank you very much, sir.
My pleasure.
Please, if you're listening back to this, give us a review on your chosen platform. If you're on YouTube, please do give us a like. It helps massively towards that algorithm. But yeah, until the next one, which I think will be Thursday evening for the Northampton preview. We'll see you on the next one, and thank you very much, as ever, for joining us. You white.
Take care, everyone. Take care.
See you later.